Welcome to another episode on the podcast. Today I'm talking to Kelsey Aida, who is a best-selling author, transformation facilitator, intuitive, and co-host of the 5-star rated High Vibin' It podcast. And we really dive into all things manifestation, which is always a fun topic for me. So there's never a moment where we're talking about manifestation on here that I'm not 100% all in, because this has been a journey of the last, however many years since I first heard the word manifestation and learned about neuroscience and learned about the power of our mind. And so there have been other conversations on here about manifestation. So you can, of course, like type it in, search it. But what I love about this conversation with Kelsey was we really talked a lot about what happens when the manifestation feels slow. And one of the conversations we had within this conversation was around normalizing the slowness of manifestations. I think that we think we need to quantum leap and have these massive changes overnight. And for the majority of us, that's really not the way that things work. So I think when we look at people who seem to have quantum leaped overnight, and then we look at ourselves and we think that we're doing something wrong, or we slip back into old patterns because we're comparing and we're like, well, we're not moving as quickly as they're moving. And we get really frustrated with ourselves. And I have had a really slow, really long journey. And in the beginning, I really felt that way. I was like, why are things not moving faster? Am I just really not worthy? Am I like the one person in the world that this doesn't work for? Am I the one person in the world that is not worthy, is not worth it, is not capable, is not all of these things? And it's just not true. It's like being an entrepreneur and looking at the really successful entrepreneurs and thinking you're not worthy of that. There's something separating between you and them. But the truth is, we often don't see the journey it took them to get there. And on top of that, we don't see all the failures they had. We don't see all the struggles they had. We don't see all the limiting beliefs they had to overcome. We don't see all the actions they've had to take, all the uncomfortable things they've had to do behind the scenes to get themselves there. And so it's really normalizing the process. And something that I'm really learning is it's so important not to compare, not to compare yourself with someone else, because you are not like anyone else, right? There are marketing tactics that might work. There are ways that we can go about growing a business, systems and structures and those types of things that like are proven to work. And also, you're unique. You're you. You're different. And when we're trying to fit into a box, we're trying to fit our energy into that box, and it just doesn't work that way. So I love this conversation with Kelsey. As you're listening to this, as this comes out, I'm going to be in the mountains of Colorado. So I'm recording this a little bit early. I'm editing this a little bit early so that I can just go and fully be present with nature and with my little vacation and with my family. And I'm really looking forward to it. We also have the new moon in Cancer on July 14th. So that'll be, I believe, Tuesday. I think that's the day I'm actually driving up to Colorado. So the new moon will have passed by the time this comes out. I'm recording this a week early, so much might have happened astrologically. So yeah, I'm not going to take up too much time here in the intro, except to say that I loved this conversation. And again, I think it's so important to be normalizing the journey, because the journey is the point. And if we can feel good in the journey, that's the whole point, right? Like everything else is a byproduct of that. Everything else is a benefit of that. And at the end of this conversation, so make sure you listen to the end, but at the end of this conversation, we talk a little bit about normalizing money, having that conversation around our money stories, because I think a huge story for so many people is that people with money are bad. If I have money, that makes me bad. And it holds us back. And we have to stop, like Kelsey said, we have to stop villainizing people with money, because money just amplifies who you already are. And so it's like shining a spotlight on it, right? Like, what are you doing? Like they say, money in the right hands changes the world. And I truly believe that. And so it's normalizing the slowness, normalizing the process, normalizing the journey, and normalizing money. Like money is just energy. I say this all the time. Money is fake. it's literally numbers on a computer screen at this point. And I go back and forth between really enjoying things and luxury and kind of those 3D, material things of the world. And then being like, okay, but also if I could just live my life like happy and content and at peace and healthy, like that's worth more, right? And so it's kind of the duality of being human, of being in this 3D, is balancing the two of them, because we need money to survive, right? We need money to, have a roof over our heads, to drive ourselves where we need to drive, to eat, to all these things. And also we just give it so much weight, that, yeah, I think it can be, the narrative, the story can be reframed for us. So listen to the podcast, share if you found it helpful. Kelsey's book, The Manifesting Fix, comes out December 1st, is what her website says, or what Amazon says. Pre-order. You can pre-order now, though, so the link will be in the show notes to pre-order her book. And she really talks about this kind of what we really circle around in this conversation around slowness of manifestations, around limiting beliefs. Like, that's really what her book is about. So go grab her book, follow her on social media, join Third Space. We're going to be doing a full moon call. We have a couple calls this month. We're doing Money by Design call next month. We're doing a frequency workshop next month. These are all the calls that I'm hosting. Jesse's also hosting calls as well. So it's so good. Join us inside of there. And yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening. I am so grateful for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Welcome to the podcast. Today I have Kelsey. I totally just overthought it. How do I pronounce your last or your name?
Aida.
Aida.
You're so close.
Aida. Today I have Kelsey Aida, who is an author, best-selling author, energetic alignment coach, and co-host of High Vibin' It, a top 0.1% podcast with 500,000 downloads. So today we're going to talk all about manifestation. And I'm so excited for this topic because, as I'm sure we're going to get into, this is like my obsession right now. I'm just like going down all the rabbit holes. So we'll start with I'm going to hand you the floor for you to, share as much or as little as you'd like about your background, your history, kind of just like what got you to what you're doing today. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to nerd out about manifestation with you because once you dive in, it's just such a fun rabbit hole of empowerment and alignment and becoming. And the way that I got into the manifesting space was when I was in my like late teens, early adulthood. I kind of slipped into like a massive depressive episode. So it started because I was training my whole life to be a dancer. I got injured. That wasn't like my path anymore. I was so confused. I was having this identity crisis, thought I was being punished, and I like full blown spiraled into depression. I was stuck there for a couple years. And then I kind of just said this ultimatum to the universe. I was like, okay, I don't know what a girl's got to do to feel better around here, but send help. Okay. Send the troops. I will do whatever you say. I just need to feel better and like reclaim my life. And so in doing that, that kind of sent me on a rabbit hole of healing and therapy and working with a shaman and learning about energy and learning about manifesting and alignment and all this stuff. And I was like, this actually works. Like, I'm feeling better. I don't have depression anymore. I'm healed. Like, I'm feeling empowered. I'm ready to like create the life that I want to live. And so that's what got me started on the journey. And since then, I've written books and I have the podcast and I've hosted retreats and I've helped other people via coaching and other like group modalities and stuff. So now really I feel like my purpose that I'm leading into more and more is just teaching people what works, what doesn't. And for me, like when you've been depressed, you realize that survival is actually not everything. Like what matters more than surviving is quality of life. And to me, aligning with your goals, going for things that you want, living very intentionally, aka manifestation, as like a practice and a lifestyle is a way to really improve your quality of life in a meaningful, like lasting practice kind of way. So that's why I do what I do, basically.
Yeah. I love that you call it a lifestyle. It's not just like a one thing, like a one and done, right? It is like a lifestyle to continually like do that work. How do we like, because I feel like, a lot of people's stories are very similar where we hit this point of, my story is just I was in a really toxic relationship and I woke up one day and I was just like, I don't even know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't know, like up from down, like nothing. Right. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of my breaking point, I guess you could say, or my rock bottom, where I was like, I have to find myself again.
Yeah.
And it's just like life never really, I think it's just that point where you're like, life doesn't look the way that I thought it would, or things aren't going the way that I thought it would. Right. And it's, whether we're trying to control the narrative or like the way things look. But there's just always like this shifting point where, yeah, we just like everything has to flip the way we think, the way that we operate, the way that like all of that. And so, but underlying all that, I think there's this, I guess getting to the question is those subconscious beliefs that like come up, like even today, I'm like 8 years ish into my like journey and it's felt so slow. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I'm just now kind of getting a grip on like, oh, this is actually how it works. You know what I mean? And
And then
so
once you get that grip, you're gonna be like, oh, this is actually how it works. And it keeps going
yeah.
deeper and deeper.
Yeah. And it feels like, kind of like what you said too, talking about like depression for me, just, I sometimes am like, my big manifestations haven't happened. But when I really distill it down, think about it, I'm like, I feel so good, regardless of like what my bank account looks like, regardless of my relationship status, like internally, emotionally, I feel good. And I think it's so easy to gloss over that and not call that a win because I don't have
Yeah,
all the
that's
big
a
shiny
huge
things.
win. That's like
Yeah.
the ultimate win because the only reason people want the money in the bank account or the dream house or the awesome relationship or whatever it is because they think it's going to make them feel good in some way.
Mm,
Like they think they have to have that thing before they're going to feel how they want to feel. But like if you've got the feelings down, if you're feeling good, I mean, your reality is going to catch up to that inevitably. And you're going to have more energy to create and co-create those things that you're asking for anyway. So I
yeah.
think you're doing it right.
Yeah. That's what I keep telling myself. I'm like, there's no way that the external is not going to catch up. Like
Exactly.
it's just not possible, right?
Yeah.
But all those I think like in that awareness, right? Like noticing the patterns and the thoughts
Yeah.
and the thing. So how do we, for somebody maybe who has had a longer journey with this, right? Like what
Yeah.
are like is so because sometimes it just feels like there's something missing. Like there's a
Hmm.
piece missing. There's something that we're
Hmm.
not quite getting. Like what do you say to
Yeah.
those people?
Yeah. Well, there's two things I want to say about this. One, I think in the manifestation law of attraction space, we've made it wrong for things to take time. So
Mm-hmm.
there's this narrative that like you should quantum leap overnight and your whole life is different in a day and like this, that, and the other. And that's just not the most self-loving, sustainable, realistic approach to manifesting. I think if you put that kind of pressure on yourself, you're just going to create unnecessary resistance and blockages that weren't there in the first place. So advice number one is like, don't judge the timeline. Okay. Divine timing is real. And what I write about a lot in my books is that, like, manifestation, yes, it's a process of creating your dream life, but it's just as big a process of becoming who you want to be, that person who can receive and hold the creations that you're trying to create, right? Because a lot of times, there's two big reasons why things can take time to manifest. One, it's just a lot of moving parts behind the scenes that we, from our limited human experience, can't see, right? So things are coming together, but we look at it, we see the absence of what we want. We think, oh, it's not happening, but really it is happening. You just can't see what's happening and how it's all coming together and aligning. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one. Or the other one that's also very common is you're still like becoming the you that will thrive best with that thing that you're asking for. So you're still learning about money and how to best handle it before it comes in so that it doesn't just all come and then you lose it all.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like there is a calibration period, a period of becoming, a period of growth that sometimes happens that can not delay the manifestation because I don't want it to sound like it's a bad thing, but it is like your manifestation is waiting for you to grow a little bit more before it's like, yes, we're coming in. So those are two very common reasons why this can happen. And I don't think people should judge themselves that it's taking a long time. Like, for example, I just finished writing a book called The Manifesting Fix, which ironically is about troubleshooting your manifesting. And I write a bunch about why things can take time to manifest. And of course, when I set out to write the book, the universe was like, well, you going to learn through experience, girl, and you going to teach through experience. So, like, all my blockages came up, all my limiting
Mm,
beliefs came up. But this is a book that I had the idea for almost a decade ago.
mm,
And now it's finally coming to fruition and getting published in 2026 in September. So, there was a point where the book was taking a long time. I didn't have a literary agent. We were getting a lot of no's. And I was like making it mean something like, oh, does this mean it's not meant to be? Or did I wait too long? Or is someone else going to steal my idea? Or all these like, negative thoughts coming in. And it's like, no, the world just wasn't ready for a manifestation troubleshooting guide because 10 years ago, manifesting wasn't as mainstream. So people
mm.
didn't feel the need to like go further. They were just trying it out. They weren't like frustrated with it yet at that point, to your point, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's timing and there's players at play here that we're not always super aware of. And I know it's like so annoying to be like, oh, divine timing is real. You just have to be more patient, work on divine timing. But there is some truth to it. And usually we just don't know why until after. And then we can look back and be like, oh, that's why it took more time.
Yeah. What is your process like in those moments when you're brushing up against these edges or you're having these, limiting beliefs or whatever, right? Like what is the process to kind of like push through that and
Yeah.
actually surrender to divine timing?
Yeah. So when I have thoughts like that come up first, I just like kind of let myself throw a little mental fit and I'm just like,
Mm,
and I just like let myself kind of go there for a minute to kind of like release it and not resist it. Like, okay, let me just, fine. I'm thinking like this, like, let me just think like this. But I usually try to set like a time limit. Like, I'm only going to
mm,
let myself go there for like, a couple minutes or whatever. So I let myself have my little moment, my little spaz out, my little spiral. And then I come back and I'm just like, Kelsey, let's be real. Okay. Is it really true? And I just start questioning everything. I'm like, is it really true that, someone else is going to steal your idea? No, because if it's my idea and the book wants to be birthed through me, like it will happen. Right. And that's a feeling I've had really strong. Like the whole time writing the book is the book has like a consciousness and it's like, Kelsey, you have to write me. Like no one else can write me like how you're going to write me. So I was like, okay. So I kind of talked myself off the cliff with that one. Then another one I don't remember what they were, but like, am I ever going to get a literary agent? No one wants to represent me. Like everyone says the manifesting space is so competitive. And then I'm like, but I want it to be competitive.
mm,
That's good. I'm a competitor. Like if they say it's too competitive, that's just their opinion. I don't think there's such a thing as too competitive if you have a unique angle on something. So we'll just delete that little thought right out of my head. So it's like one by one going through kind of rationalizing with yourself and just being real and questioning things once you're a little more grounded and
mm,
be like,
mm.
okay, am I just spiraling? Yes. Is this really true? Probably not. Is there a more expansive thought I could access right now? If so, what is it? Let me lean into that more moving forward. And when I notice that I'm coming back to this narrative that makes me feel small, that makes me feel bad, that makes me feel wrong, remind myself again and again that that's not the truth and this is what we're choosing to believe now, and then practicing that. So that's where affirmations come in.
Mm,
That's where meditating on an idea comes in. That's where just daily repetition can help you to rewire some of those thoughts, because it's not like you just have those limiting thoughts one time and then you work through them and they go away. Like they're not going to go out without a fight, so they're going to keep coming up and you have to keep
mm.
like hitting them on the head like a little, what's that game, like a whack-a-mole, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to come up, little whack-a-mole, keep whacking the
Yeah.
mole down. But eventually, like doing that with enough practice and repetition, when the thought comes up, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I don't subscribe to that anymore, and it's not a big deal and you don't have to do like the whole process. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. That makes sense. One of my practices that you mentioned that I love is like giving yourself time to like feel
Mhm.
or think like whatever.
Yeah.
Like and actually like coming inside and being with it. Cause I think like, and I did this in the beginning of my journey where it was just like, oh my gosh, I just have to think positive. I have to, like the law of attraction. I think there's a
Yep.
misconception with that where it's like I can't think
Definitely.
anything negative. Like, but I think actually coming in, because then you create awareness,
Yeah.
right? Around like you can move through it and like see what the actually underlying like limiting belief or whatever is around that. And do you think or believe that like people can quantum leap just like randomly?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. But I don't want people to have that expectation that
Yeah.
everything they want should be a quantum leap.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I guess, the nuance there. Like, I definitely think people can quantum leap. I think things can change fast. They do change fast, but it depends on just so many factors. Like,
Mm,
I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, yeah, everything you want should come to
yeah.
you with the snap of a finger and a quantum leap. Like, I think there's a time and a place for the leap, and we don't always
Hmm.
get to choose when that is either. Like, for example, I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening in like 2020, probably like 2019, 2018, 2019. And I had just gone through this horrible breakup. And for the first time ever, I was really embracing like my bad feelings of like guilt about it and just sad that it didn't work out. And it was my high school sweetheart. I thought we were going to be together forever, blah, blah, whatever. So I was processing so much heavy emotions that somehow it like raised my vibration. And then I had like this sexual encounter that kind of like activated the Kundalini. And I was literally like a psychic medium like overnight. So that's an example of like a quantum leap that I wasn't like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to have a I didn't even know what a Kundalini awakening was.
Mm,
Okay. I was just like, I know there's Kundalini yoga, which I haven't even practiced. I've just practiced mostly like vinyasa yoga. So, I mean, things can just happen.
mm, yeah.
Whether you want them to or not. Like, not all quantum leaps are like super easy and fun and welcomed. Like, they can be a lot. But the fun ones, I'm also here for those too,
Yeah.
especially like, I don't know, like with money, for example. Like, me and my husband, I feel like we've kind of had a money quantum leap in the past couple of years. And it's not like an overnight, but I think in the grand scheme of a lifetime, 2 to 3 years to really multiply our income is pretty quantum, I would say. So, I mean, intentional ones, surprise ones, they
Yeah.
definitely happen. They definitely happen. So I don't want to be like some Debbie Downer that's like so
Yeah.
sick that you shouldn't believe in quantum leaps. I'm just like, don't put that pressure on yourself
Yeah.
that everything needs to happen so fast.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like there's a lot of work that actually goes on behind the scenes that we're not maybe aware of. Like you said, like the universe is kind of like doing its thing and
Yeah.
we're doing our thing. And, like in your example, I think, maybe the intense emotional experience, right? Like, because emotions are, I mean, I believe emotions are a huge part of this entire
Huge.
process,
Yeah.
right? Like being able to, I mean, even like, they say repetition and emotion, like, and in having an intense emotional experience can rewire your brain and in ways that are faster in both
Yeah.
ways, right? So yeah, I definitely think that. I part of my story, so I've been single for like 8 years. I was in a really
Okay.
bad relationship. I've been, I've dated, I've had like some significant things in there, but I've been basically single for 8 years.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I like in hindsight, I was so afraid to like get hurt again. And so
Yeah.
as I've been doing this work over the last couple years, it's like the thing is circling me. I can feel it. And every man I call in now is just like so much closer.
Yeah.
And this year, I've been really like deep in just like rewiring, really being aware, really just like emotional regulation. And the last person that I called in was like literally everything on my list except for like one thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. And there's like a part of me that's like, oh my gosh, that hurts so much because it's like, it was so like I could taste
Yeah.
it. Right. And then the other part of me, and because of that, all of my limiting beliefs came up. I'm not
Mm.
enough. I'm not worth, like all of that stuff. And I had to like really sit with that and just be like, okay, like you said, like getting curious, like, why did this happen? Like, is this actually true? Do I know for sure that like this is true about me? Or like putting myself, like shifting my perspective, like I actually don't know what was going on for him in his mind in his
Right.
life, right? To like, so it's just, that's why I think like this conversation is just so fascinating to me because I'm in that space, right? Where it's just
Yeah.
like
That's the best place
there's
to ask questions
something.
from, right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it sounds like you're like tail end of it, not middle of it. But I feel like you
Yeah.
said it when you were explaining the story. Like, every man is closer and closer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and this is something I write about in the manifesting fix, it's like we are the meaning makers of our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if something bad happens, we can make it mean something bad about ourselves or our life, which is like our default mode, which is what we do from a young age. Because little kids, like, we're very narcissistic in an innocent way where like we can't understand things unless it's relative to us, right? So little kids will be like, oh, well, if I was a better kid, maybe my parents wouldn't have gotten divorced, or like my mom forgot to pick me up from school because I'm not important, or whatever it is. And like we internalize things and make them about ourselves. And then unfortunately, we just take that childlike way of thinking into the rest of our life. And we don't even notice that we're doing it. And everything that happens that we don't like, we're like, oh, well, that probably just happened because I'm not good enough, or that happened because I didn't try hard enough, or that happened. And we try to take responsibility that sometimes isn't even ours. Like, to
Mm.
your point, you don't know what was going on in his life. You don't know the timing of things. You don't know what he was looking for. Like, we just don't know, especially with relationships, because
Yeah.
that's just layers on layers, right? But it's like, if you weren't going to make it mean something bad about yourself or your life, your love life,
Yeah.
then it could be, okay, I'm one person closer, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that you have to go through before you get to the person. So you're just closer and closer every time. It's like when I kept getting rejections for my manuscript, I was like, okay, we're one no closer.
Mm.
Like if you knew that you were only 10, 12, 18 no's or failures away from your success, you would be running to fail. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be scared to fail, right? So it's the same with love, right? You got to think,
Mhm.
okay, everyone's getting closer, they're getting more aligned, I'm feeling it, this is good. And of course, it's disappointing when it doesn't work out. And it's important to hold space for that and have compassion for yourself. And then once you're done crying about it and freaking out, reminding yourself,
Yeah.
I'm so close. I'm one person closer, one relationship closer.
Yeah. I love that. That's so powerful of a reframe, right? Too, because it's
Yes.
like I feel like in this situation it was very much like setting my boundary of like this is what I want, right? Because I think a lot
Yeah.
of times we think like what we like we're too much or we're asking for too much or our needs are too much, right? And so and then like how do you deal with the mind, right? Because then there was a moment afterwards where I was like, oh, like maybe I'll just go back and we don't have to like I don't need that thing that I said that I need. We'll play it your way, like
Yeah.
just to like get the connection, right? So it's like how do we kind of like deal with the mind, whatever the manifestation is, whether it's career, money, love, like whatever. Like I feel like the ego can come in really strongly when you're like getting close and like getting to that point. And yeah, I mean, you've described beautifully just the way of like reframing of saying that like this one no closer. But is there any specific like tool or technique that you teach or that you use that really works?
Okay, so let me see if I understand the question. So, how to kind of not be ruled by your ego who might want to settle for less just so you can have it now?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so the antidote to that is so annoying. It comes back to the divine timing, and I hate to be like that person, but I swear, patience.
Mm,
If you have patience and confidence, you don't have to settle so that you can have that thing right now.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because that's the urge that's causing your ego to be like, we should settle so we can get this. It's coming from like a
Mhm.
place of lack. So it's not so much like one practice, but it's more so like a way of living where the things that do fill you up, let them fill you up. Like the areas of your life where you are really connected and resourced, like pay attention to those, lean into those. And the areas where you're wanting more, like those will get filled in. But the more you're looking at them with the lens of, but it's not here yet, you're going to cause yourself unnecessary frustration and then mess up your vibe. And then you're not as
Yeah.
magnetic. So it's like staying in the magnetism is living in abundance. Doesn't mean you have everything you want. It means you have some amazing things, which everybody does. And if we
Mhm.
could place more focus on that, and then when we do focus on the things we're calling in, instead of focusing on, oh, I can't believe it's not here yet. Why isn't it here yet? Must be something wrong with me. Maybe it's not supposed to happen. Should I compromise? It's like, no, hold the faith, hold the vision, hold the confidence, and really lean into the abundance that you already have in your life. I don't know if you listened to Diary of a CEO, but he just had Matthew McConaughey on, and he was talking about how he didn't want to do rom-coms anymore, right?
Mhm.
So he was like telling his agent, he's like, I don't want to be the rom-com guy anymore. Like, don't send me any more of those. But then nothing was coming in because he was like the rom-com guy. So he was like, oh my God, like, do I need to get another profession? Like, do I need to go back to school? Should I become a lawyer again? Should I be a teacher? Like, maybe I'm not meant to be an actor anymore. Like, nothing's coming in. So he was panicking for a little bit. He got this one offer for something that was not aligned. And at first he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. That's not what I want to do. But then they kept upping how much money it was. So first it came in for like $8 million, and then it was like 9, and then it was 12, and then it was like 14 or some outrageous number. And every time they raised the price, he thought about it a little bit harder. And he was like, well, maybe the script is kind of funny. Maybe I can see myself doing it. I don't know. And he was so close to compromising, right? Like so tempted. Who wouldn't compromise for that much money, right?
Yeah.
And you're good at it. You know, you can do it. But he didn't. He held strong in the faith, and he was like, no, I really just want to be available for the things that I want to do. And then shortly after that long 2-year wait period, it was like, bam, 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 bam. All these movies that were super aligned, that were the roles that he wanted to finally do, came in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even the Golden Boys have to wait their turn. Even Matthew freaking McConaughey has to wait for things to come in sometimes. And here's the thing, like, I think it's Warren Buffett who says, like, the richest people or the most successful people are the ones who know what to say no to when they say no a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think that has to do with not compromising, because if you compromise, you're filling your life with unsatisfactory things. And then you don't have space for the satisfactory things when they do actually come to you. Because if you settle for said relationship, but then you really meet the guy that you're supposed to be with, but then you can't be with him because you're already with this other guy, like, hello, you're not available for what you truly want. So that's where the integrity and the patience comes in, which is hard. I'm not saying any of this is easy, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that practicing that no, so many of us need to do more of, because it's like, you know, I think about, and you know, if you're in a space where maybe you're not Matthew McConaughey and you don't have enough money to like lay back on for 2 years, right? And then you get this like thing that's, you know, it's like you need the money, and you're coming from that like kind of like that need. And I know it's a lack space, but you know, the reality of life sometimes is we have bills to pay, we have rent, children, like whatever it is. It's like hard to, like, I do believe that you are rewarded at the end of it, but like, is it possible to say yes to something out of that energy and then still get the thing, you know, if it's like,
let me give a perfect example. I know exactly what you're talking about. So like, for example, I'm about to retire from doing hair. So I went to school for cosmetology after I couldn't dance, and I've been blogging and writing kind of alongside doing hair, because I only do hair a couple days a week. And you know, some manifestation teachers would be like, you should just go all in on your dreams, quit your job, write the books, do this, that, and the other. Yeah. But the practical side of me is like, I like having money. I don't like struggling for money. I will do hair as long as I financially need to, until it feels more reasonable to jump off into doing this other work full time. So there's definitely a place where you can do what you got to do and take care of business in the now, and at the same time have the plan for the thing. So it's not so much like a compromising energy, but it's like a supporting yourself through it energy, if that makes sense. So especially with the money example, right? It's like, yeah, if you need to have a job while you build your side hustle, like do it. Like that's a self-loving thing to do. If you put yourself in a very, very stressful situation where you're like, I'm not going to do any jobs unless it's my dream job, and then you're just like dwindling away the money and you're stressing out, you're just going to go into like a fight or flight mode, and you're not going to be able to manifest anything from there. So you need to like take care of the basic needs, however you got to do that. And then once you're more regulated, and you're not coming from a place of desperation and neediness, it's actually easier to manifest the things that you want. So I'm not saying it's all or nothing, like never compromise, don't do anything in between this and the dream. Like you got to build up, you got to do some things. You have to date people who are wrong. You have to do jobs that might not be your favorite. Like that's life. But with in the back of your head, this being a part of the plan that brings you to the goal or supports you in fulfilling the goal.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. The beginning of this year, I was like it wasn't even 9 to 5. It was like 8 to 7.
Yeah.
It was awful. Like I was just like,
that's
I
rough.
can't do this anymore. Yeah. And it's like, this is not worth my mental health. Like, you know, I'm a single mom of, of two. And so it was just like everybody's
Not
mental health. And I was
sustainable.
like, I can't do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough that I could sustain myself for like 5 months. And I was like, I'm just going to go all into my business, like build the podcast, like do more. And so, within that time, I really built a lot of system, like structures and the back end stuff and fun, like all that kind of stuff, whatever. But then, of course, like reality hit, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to get, like you said, like I think that safety piece, if we don't feel safe and if we don't feel
Yeah.
secure, if we don't have some sort of like consistent, I'm like, I can't do anything out of that space because now I'm just in fight or flight,
Yeah, exactly.
And so I took a bartending job. And so I do that like a few days a week, but I wanted to be uncomfortable enough that I could still have space to like motivate me to move on my things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like lately, I just feel like it's pushing me out, but there is that practical side. I'm like, okay, but there still needs to be something there.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting place where I feel, like I said, I feel really good emotionally, and I'm not like afraid of like the what if, and maybe it's that surrender piece. And I had to go through like the kind of like survival mode to like get here. And I don't know if I had a question attached with all of that, but I think there's my point was just like to reinforce like that kind of like safety piece of like, I think it is.
Yeah, no, it's a great example because I think we like sometimes if you dive too far mentally in the manifestation space, it can become very like all or nothing. Like, I don't want to do a job unless it's my highest excitement, perfect dream career. I don't want to date someone unless I know from the first 5 minutes that they're going to be my husband. And it's like, how life works. There is like room for error and growth and learning and changing and shifting and evolving. And like that doesn't happen if you're not willing to do some things that have contrast. And like the thing is, everything in life has wanted and unwanted elements. Even the dream career business that you're building, even the perfect husband, even the perfect house, like everything has contrast. So you're just consciously picking what contrast you're willing to put up with and deal with. Because my husband, people will be like, oh my God, he's so perfect. He's a former NFL player. He's so tall. He's so handsome. He has great hair. He's super nice, all this stuff. And it's like, yeah. And he tries to kill me every day by leaving his size 15 shoes in the hallway for me to trip over. I'm like, are you literally trying to kill me? Right? Like, he is my dream person. And I feel like he's trying to kill me with his big ass ski shoes. So I'm like, okay, like being married, there's annoying parts to it, even though you love your spouse. And I always wanted to be married, and I'm happy to be married to him. But no person, place, house, job is the epitome of perfection at every level. There's going to be unwanted, and you just have to embrace it, honestly. I feel like that's a part of the creation process. And when you're really masterful, you're choosing your challenges on purpose. And you're choosing your contrast with excitement. Like, yes, I would like to have those unwanted aspects because that means I also have the wanted aspects. Like, yes, I would like to pay $1 million in taxes because that probably means I'm making millions and millions of dollars, right? So it's like, it's that game.
Yeah, I love that. Choosing your challenges on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so true. How do you work with people? And I know there's, big T trauma, little T trauma, but like with people who are maybe dealing with trauma and in this process of manifestation, that whether it just takes longer or there's just like really strong like inner narratives that come up.
Yeah, so I do. I'm not like a trauma informed. I'm not a therapist. I did not go to school for this. I am someone who is extremely intuitive and extremely compassionate. And people who have been through trauma find me to be a very safe space, even though I haven't experienced some of the degrees of trauma that they have, but I can still hold them in that because I have a good capacity for strong emotions. So short answer, yes, for sure. At my self-love retreats, which I haven't hosted one in a while, but women come with all kinds of baggage, divorce, single moms, people who are looking for a new career. I was working with a woman recently who had literally her life had been threatened by multiple people that were close to her, like people trying to kill her, like some heavy stuff. And I don't want to be like a blanket statement about trauma, but like a solid self-love practice and having compassion and space for those heavy feelings that come because of the traumatic things that happen to us is extremely healing, especially in the context of like someone's not trying to diagnose you with a problem. Like I consider myself kind of like a professional space holder. So we're able to like move a lot of energy that way. So I'm not trying to say like, oh, you have this thing or you went through that or this. It's just like, okay, let's, whatever feelings are coming up, regardless of what they're coming up from, let's embrace them with love for just a few moments and a couple of really deep breaths so that the energy can kind of come up and then come out. And then from there, I mean, most people experience a lot of relief.
Mm. Yeah, and I think a lot of times in that, like having a safe space
Yeah,
where you don't feel judged and where you can just, we talked about it before, but just feeling safe in your body, I think,
yeah,
right? Like you can just like lets you
exactly.
like be there so much easier. And yeah, how much I guess like how much of the process and everything is self-love.
Oh my gosh. I feel like the whole thing is self love. I feel like manifesting and self love, there's like crossover, and in like some ways, it's like the same thing because it's like you want to manifest your best life and have these things because you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you want to have that life because if you loved yourself more, you would allow yourself to have it or create it or go for it. And one of the biggest things that blocks people from manifesting what they want is a lack of self love. Because if you're not feeling worthy, if you don't feel like you deserve it, if all this money comes in, or the best relationship comes in, or some really awesome friends come in, or business partners, or whatever it is you're calling in, it's hard to accept it and really internalize it or sustain it if you feel like, well, who am I to have this? Or you're probably going to end up sabotaging or scaring them away or
Mm-hmm.
something not wanted from a lack of self love, right? So I think self love is so fundamental to, a successful manifestation practice and just living in alignment with your intentions because it's one of the biggest pieces. And like in my experience, I used to think that I loved myself like my whole life. I was like, oh yeah, I love myself. Like, look how fabulous I am. Look at all these things I've done. Look at all these books I've written. Look at all these people that I've helped. But when I really dove into it and looked at my life, like I was only loving myself conditionally if I was achieving X, Y, or Z. So my self worth was completely tied to my output,
Mm-hmm.
not my actual inherent God given presence on this earth. Right. So there's levels.
Yeah.
For me, one of the biggest things that taught me the most self love was an emotionally abusive relationship that I went through, like kind of around the time of the Kundalini awakening. And this man was so handsome. He was so charming. I thought he was just everything, right? And turned out he had borderline personality disorder, which, no offense to people who have personality disorders, it happens to the best of us. But people who have borderline are really hot and cold. And so some days he'd be like, oh my gosh, you're an angel. You saved my life. I can't do this without you. Like, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. The next day, you're ruining my life. I don't have any friends because of you. I don't want to be together, blah, 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 whatever. So it's like back and forth roller coaster. He was so mean. He would always be like, oh my gosh, you're going to wear that outfit out. And like, just so like not loving. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward to when that finally ended and I was doing so much therapy and working with a shaman and like regression work and all this stuff. Cause I feel like our soul contract was that I was like, okay, we're going to be together. We're these twin flames. We're going to reflect to each other, the worst parts of each other. And you just put me in a box and then throw me down the stairs. And then once I'm down the stairs in a million pieces, I'll know how to love myself because you showed me the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was healing from that, I was like, wow, that was not very self-loving of me to stay in that relationship. And the interesting thing was he was struggling with a lot of anxiety and depression, which I had always struggled with. And I feel like life was like, okay, if you can love him through that, and you gave him too much love, like you gave him all the love that he did not deserve, but how come you can do it for him and you can't do it for you? Like, how come you were so compassionate for his anxiety and his depression and so understanding and always making excuses and always having compassion? Then you have one little anxious blip and you're judging yourself. Like, this is not congruent. This is not making sense. So I realized, okay, he was reflecting back to me the parts of myself that I dislike and hate the most, that I find the most annoying and troublesome. And through loving him, I was loving myself in a roundabout
Mm,
way. And that was really like a breakthrough moment for me.
mm,
And I was like, okay, time to
yeah.
apply that same compassion to myself. And when I did that, I started to reclaim those parts, like the part of me that is depressed, like we love her with love. The part of me that is always anxious, like we love her for caring, right? So it's like that type of self love work creates so much integration and wholeness. And you don't have to change something about yourself and you don't have to like everything about yourself. It's just a journey of understanding. And when you actually understand yourself, you'll naturally come to a place of compassion. And
Mm,
that's what heals.
yeah. I was in like a 2 year, we'll say, situation with someone. And similar to that, like I felt like I didn't like the way that they saw me, the
Yeah.
reflection of myself through them. But I also feel like through that relationship, I learned to love myself because it was like I had to love myself so hard because I wasn't getting it and I wasn't
Yeah.
seeing it. And I was just like, and I would like, I remember thinking so many times, like, I just want you to see me because you don't see me. But like, did I even see myself? And I
Exactly.
think that, yeah, relationships are always mirrors for ourselves. And, romantic relationships, as hard as they can be, I think are some of the biggest mirrors, right? Because we
Oh,
are just,
definitely. Whoever's closest to you, family members,
yeah.
romantic relationships, those are always the biggest ones.
Yeah. Well, and I always think too, it's like I don't, just like, with liken it to kids. Like I love my kids like beyond anything, but I don't always like them
Yeah, of
sometimes, right? Where
course.
I'm
They're
like, you're just
annoying sometimes.
exactly. And it's like, well, why wouldn't I treat myself the same? And that's what I always think, it's like, or vice versa, whatever it is, but it's like I would never talk to them that way. Like, why would I talk to myself that way? And so
Exactly. That's what I always tell people. I'm
yeah.
like, think of someone who you have unconditional love for. They're not perfect and you don't expect them
Mm-hmm.
to be perfect, and yet you still love them. So why are you withholding this same love from yourself? And
Yeah.
then people come to me with all their excuses like, oh, well, I'll love myself when I lose 20 pounds, or I'll love myself when I'm in a relationship and someone else is loving me, or I'll love
Mm,
myself once I accomplish X, Y, or Z goal. And it's like, first of all, that's not love. That's conditional living,
yeah.
which is what I was doing before. And it's not a fun way to live.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, if you loved yourself now and you chose that, you would actually be able to do all those things that you're trying to do and you're trying to motivate yourself to do better by withholding your own love. If you did love yourself, it would be easier for you to do them.
Mm,
Like you would have more energy for it. Like, for example, if you're like, okay, I'm not going to love myself till I lose 20 pounds, it's like, okay, if you love yourself now, you're going to go to the gym out of like wanting to nurture yourself and wanting to feel
mm,
strong and build strength. And like naturally, the weight's going to shed in that kind of safe, supportive environment. But if you're going to the gym because you hate your body and you're working out, and you're burning all these calories and trying to eat perfect and you're stressing yourself out, like stress is the enemy of weight loss.
yeah.
Okay. That's not going to
Mm,
work as good. I
yeah.
always think that the self loving approach, where you love yourself first, actually gives you more energy and more inspiration to accomplish your goals versus what most people do. They think, if I withhold my own love for myself, that way I can dangle it like a carrot on a stick and pretend that I'm going to give it to myself when I achieve a certain goal.
Yeah.
And do
Yeah.
they give it to themselves after they achieve that goal? No, because you move the goalpost. And then you say,
Mm-hmm.
now I want to be skinnier. Now I want to make more money. Now I want my marriage to be better. And you're just going to keep changing the goal. And it's always going to be elusive,
Yeah.
which I hate. And I think life is too short for that.
Yeah. I love that. If you love yourself, then you'll want to go to the gym or you'll want to eat the right thing. I always, for me, sometimes when I get into that like narrative too, I shift it and then I see myself as my inner child. Cause I'm like,
Yes,
I
that's so
wouldn't
powerful.
say this actually to this little girl, and like, then I think like, what did she actually need? And it's like, it is such a powerful shift in that moment to get out of that sort of like judgmental, perfectionist, like whatever it is, like mindset. So I don't know. That's just like one that really helps me. Was there
No, that's
one?
so good.
Yeah. Was there one like during your process of like of loving yourself, like self-love from that relationship? Was there something that you specifically did that helped you get more in touch with loving yourself?
Yeah. I mean, feeling my feelings without judging them is probably number one, which I know I've
Mm,
kind of touched on here and there,
mm,
but that's the most important thing. If you can not abandon yourself no matter how bad you feel, no matter how uncomfortable and sticky things get emotionally, and you can still be with yourself and stay in your body and be present and love yourself through that. That's like the most transformative practice ever. What you said with the inner child stuff is so good, and a fun, like, easy way people can start implementing this is like on your phone as your background to choose like the cutest picture of you as a kid. So every time you see your phone, I have one of my dog and my husband, but
No.
every time you see your phone, you would see that version of you, which is still you. Like, we
Yeah.
don't grow up. Like, our
Yeah.
bodies get older, but we're still that same little kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, or put a picture of her like on the bathroom mirror or in the car or somewhere you're going to see it often, or like on your computer. So that way you're just reminded, like, when you say nasty things to yourself, this is who you're saying it to.
Mm.
When you judge yourself, this is who you're judging, right? That's very, very powerful. So the feelings, inner child, something that I find is a powerful practice that you can do over and over. It's not like a one and done thing. And I have like the ladies who come to my self love retreats always do it, is write a letter to yourself, and you write it to like a past version of you that you feel like you kind of did wrong. So like maybe for you, it would be like when you were in that relationship, like you at that age, like writing to yourself something along the lines of like, hey, I'm really sorry we got into that shitty relationship. I should have left sooner. Like, I'm going to do better to protect you from now on. Like, you're so strong. Like, we went through a lot, you know? And when people write these letters, they usually cry
Mm.
and they usually feel a lot better afterwards, because it's like a letter of apology for any time that you didn't get something that you needed, whether it was from your parents or your spouse or whoever, just from you, from your higher self, from you now who knows more, writing a letter to that version of you and apologizing for what happened, even if it wasn't your fault. Just like, sorry this happened to you. That sucked. That was terrible. You didn't deserve that, you know? And then going into like from now on and making some promises that bring safety to that part of you. Like, from now on, it's, you know, my number one priority to just keep us really safe and be more careful. And like, I've got you. And like, whatever that version of you needed to hear that it never heard, that's what you need to include in the letter. And that is a super, super healing and just practical way to get in there, get into your subconscious, give yourself some love and do some healing. That sounds like, oh, it's just a letter. How much could it heal me? But like, it'll move. It'll move some
Mm.
energy.
Yeah, I love that. I've definitely written myself a couple letters over
Yep.
over the course of time. What do you say to somebody who maybe is like doing all of the work, is like super conscious and aware of like what's happening, but like nothing's happening? Like, is
Yeah.
there like, yeah.
Well, usually we have blockages to self love, just like we have
Mhm.
blockages to everything else, right? Like, we have
Yeah.
money blocks, we have relationship blocks, we have whatever. It's like, if you're not feeling your own love to the degree that you know you're capable, there's probably a reason why you're withholding it. So, like, let's figure out what that is and start there, which actually, I have a course called Radical Self Love that I created right after I got out of that super toxic relationship. So I was younger, but it's actually so good. And it goes through like all my favorite practices of connecting with your heart and working with your inner child and writing these letters and identifying why you're not loving yourself more and kind of untangling that. Because
Mm.
also, a lot of people are secretly scared to love themselves more and they don't realize, because subconsciously you're like, okay, I want to love, consciously, I want to love myself more. Subconsciously, if I love myself more, I can't stay in this relationship.
Mm.
If I love myself more, I can't stay in this job. If I love myself more, I'll have to make some real changes. And change is uncomfortable and scary.
Yeah.
So, of course, if that is attached to the self love, you're not going to pick it up. You're going to be like,
Yeah.
okay, I can wait a little longer, you know, because you might not want to see the truth of like what would need to change. So,
Yeah.
that's something big that I run into a lot with clients or students in my radical self love program, is like, if I love myself more, I'm going to have to eat better. I'm going
Yeah.
to have higher standards in my friendships. Like, it's not always easy to put it into practice once you realize like what's not working for you and how you're not loving yourself.
Yeah, I got chills on that one. And it's
Mhm.
almost like we're afraid of like taking the full responsibility for our life.
Yeah.
Cause then
Yeah.
it's like,
And the whole thing of self-love is like you don't have to take full like excessive responsibility of your life because like there's other people here you're co-creating
mm,
with, like God is real, like the universe is at play, like it's not just you, you're not alone, but it's like in order to fully love yourself, you do have to reclaim all parts of you and take positive ownership of yourself.
yeah.
Because a lot of people think that to love themselves is to like themselves a
Mhm.
lot, right? Like, oh, I love myself. Like the same way you love pizza or you love a cute
Mhm.
outfit or you love this. But it's like, that's not the type of love we're talking about. Okay. We're talking about the type of love that transcends liking. You don't need to like everything about your personality, about your body to love yourself, but you do need to have understanding and compassion, which requires some patience, requires a lot of curiosity, and a willingness to just see the truth, which is not always easy.
Yeah.
So there is that. Nobody said it was easy, but it can be simple. Okay. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
like some 12-step process. Like it's literally a choice of, okay, I'm taking positive ownership of myself and my well being. And like I'm making myself a priority.
Mhm. Yeah. I love that. I always think about that too. It's like, I of all the people I've interviewed on the podcast, all the conversations I've had, it always comes back to that. It's simple. It's so simple. We overcomplicate it like
We
crazy
do.
and it's so simple, but yeah, it's not easy because of
Yeah.
all of the other stuff that comes in. So yeah, I think
But
that's
it's
really
worth
important.
it. We need to add at the end
Yeah,
simple, not easy,
but worth it.
definitely worth it.
Yeah, 100%. How has this work for you over the course of like, however long you've been doing this? How has it shifted for you?
Oh man. Well, it's easier now.
Mm.
I don't want to like
Mm.
knock on wood. You're just gonna be like, yeah, right, it's easier. But it is easier now. Like in the beginning, it would be longer to process my
Mm.
feelings. I would get stuck in lower vibrational states for a longer amount of time. Things would feel heavier or denser. I would succumb to negative thoughts more easily. Like you just get more skilled. I feel
Mm.
like you become more like an emotional ninja. You become
Mm.
more unfuckwithable. You become
Yeah.
more naturally high vibrational. And like the results just compound over time. So things just get easier. You get more magnetic, opportunities abound more. It's like a positive upward spiral the more that you pour into yourself.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. I also want to feel like normalize that it's like, yeah, at every level there's something. Like
Oh, yeah,
like
for
you said,
sure.
yeah, I think like my emotional experience sometimes is still really intense, but it's this big instead of this, you know what
Right.
I mean? So it's like I'm
Or it
still
lasts
going,
for 5 minutes versus three
yeah,
years
yeah,
because I used to get
exactly.
stuck in a depressive episode for years. Now I can get stuck in it for like a few moments
Mm.
and move on with my life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important to recognize that it's not all like you're not going to feel things
Yeah.
just because you've
I
gotten
mean,
to
if
a
you're a
certain point.
human, you're going to have a human experience. And I think
Yeah.
like beef that I have with the spiritual law of attraction space is that there's so much bypassing and they like romanticize like escaping your body and wanting to be more in
Mm.
your ethereal and wanting to be more in your visualizations than your real life. And it's like the whole point of doing this work is to make your human life more awesome and to like play in the 3D and feel your feelings and experience unwanted so you can create the wanted. And it's like, if you're resisting being a human, you're just in a state of resistance, and
Yeah.
resistance is not simpatico with
Yeah.
successful manifestation, period.
Yeah. And our souls came here to experience the body.
Literally, like you wanted a
Otherwise you'd be a
body.
soul.
You wanted a body and now you have it. So be
Yeah.
grateful. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I think embodiment is so important of like coming
So
in and if we're
important.
disconnected, there's just such a piece missing, and
That yeah,
I have so much Taurus energy in me, so I just feel like my journey in this life
yeah.
has really been coming into the body and exploring what that means for
Oh, that's
not
nice.
just me but
Yeah,
for everybody. But
yeah, for
yeah.
sure. And you can help teach it because you have that
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. What are you? So I know you have the book coming out September 2026, but what are you currently manifesting for yourself?
It's pretty much all related to the book. Money. I'm always manifesting more
Mm.
money because I like to be resourced and I'm not afraid to say it. And what else? I am manifesting a baby, but after the book, hopefully, knock on wood, because I do not want to birth a baby and a book at the same time. That would be chaotic. So waiting on that one. But yeah, just more opportunities, transitioning from hair into more, I don't want to say full-time authorship because it's not like I need to like do 5 days a week to write these books and like do speaking gigs and stuff, but just stepping more into my role of a healer and a teacher more than I have before, and just like really owning that, I think is big for me right
Mm.
now. And I'm really obsessed with my wiener dog. So that's a big part of my life. I'm really like in a baby preparation mode of like a health
Mm.
journey. So just
Yeah.
optimizing my health as much as I possibly can. And that's really it. Just book,
Mm.
baby, health, marriage, regular stuff.
Yeah, regular stuff.
Yeah.
I know we're getting like close to the top of the hour, but I would like to just have a little conversation, I guess, about like money normalizing, like, because, I think just the way that you said it too was just like, finances and money, just because like you want to be resourced.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us hold so much shame and stories and narratives around money. Like I know money and
Yep.
love, it's just, I think those are the two things that we're always kind of like
Yes.
struggling with. But like, how do we normalize just like, I want money. I want to be able to
Mhm.
do X, Y, Z, like, and not carry the weight with it.
Yeah, I think you have to take the power and the charge away from money because I think we idolize it so much. Like it's this
Mm-hmm.
mystical, magical thing. And it's literally like dirty paper. It's
Mm.
literally an IOU, and only like a small percentage of it actually exists physically. So when you think about it, money's really like nothing. It's
Mm.
like
Mm-hmm.
digits on a screen,
Yeah.
It's ever since it's like not backed by gold since the 70s, like money is kind of nothing. And it's not to
Yeah.
say it's like nothing, like it has real life implications,
Mm-hmm.
but I think when you take the power away from idolizing it and you just think of it as a resource, like this is dirty paper that we trade around for different things, or, in our debt based system, this is just numbers moving from one screen to another screen. You can take away some of the charge. And this is probably going to be an annoying tip to some people, but if you can find people who have a lot more money than you and just listen to how they talk about it, study how they handle it, hang out with them, spend time with them, you will quickly normalize it in your own head because you'll be like, oh my gosh, they don't even think $100,000 a month is a lot. I think
Mm.
that's a lot. But then you're hanging out with them and they're like, that's nothing. I'm trying to go for $1 million a month. You're like, oh, people can make $1 million a month. That's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it's like getting outside of your circle of comfort. And maybe if it's joining a mastermind or following people online, if you can't access them in real life, or, signing up for the country club or whatever it is in your neighborhood, like any way you can be around
Mm.
people who have a more expanded mindset around money, or it's more normal to them. That's like the most passive way that you can make it more normal to you, because
Yeah.
you can do so much money work in your mind, which I do teach people to do. And I love doing that. But it's actually easier to just hang out with people who have and make a lot of money. And those shifts will naturally happen in your mind without you
Yeah.
having to force them.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. Yeah, and it's interesting too because when you like hear people talk about money like it's nothing, right? It's so expansive for you, but like also witnessing how people react to that sometimes, like
Yeah.
the other narrative, and you're like, wow, like those stories are just like so ingrained.
Well, an
Yeah.
example, like a funny story. So my husband works in commercial real estate now. So all of his clients are like wealthy real estate
Mm.
investors, and most of them came from nothing or are
Yeah.
second generation immigrants or whatever. Like in America, real estate is a way that you can still build wealth. It's like
Mm-hmm.
one of the few American dreams that's still left, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of his clients, they talk about money like it's nothing. Like the other day, he was talking on the phone and I overheard, and his client was like, Jeffrey, how do you expect was you think I'm gonna live like this guy was like, I can't live on $8 million. Like, I can live on $8 million just fine. I don't know what you're talking about, right? It's like when you hear things like that, it just automatically changes your brain. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to do a 12-step process to rewire your beliefs. You just are like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
really interesting too, like in the service industry where there's so many people who have, I mean, you can see like the lack mindset of it, like the
Mhm.
hustle and like I have to work like X amount of hours a day just to make a certain amount.
Yeah.
But I love like bartending and stuff. Like I love to like listen to my like bar guests talk, and most
Yeah.
of them have a lot of money and they'll be
Yeah.
talking, yeah, like they'll talk about like, oh, this was like a $20 million deal or $5 million deal, or it's just like, or just like don't care about that kind of stuff. So that's like where I always like try and orient my attention to
Yeah.
just like those people. Cause I'm like, it's so interesting. Or like people that make, like you said, like over 100 grand in like a day. And it's just like, it's not a big deal. Right. It
Yeah.
just like really normalizes, I think that. So yeah, that's, I love that. Just being
Yeah.
able to like,
Normalizing bigger numbers is definitely a money manifesting hack for sure.
yes, yes. And like you said, it's just numbers. Like I think about that all the time. I was like, it's numbers on a computer screen at this point. Like,
Right? It's so crazy how much we think about it and idolize it and obsess over it and stress over it. And I'm like, it's just a different number. Like, because past a certain point, the more money you make, like, it's not going to make your life better. Like, yes, once you have enough money to be resourced, go on some vacations, cover everything, go to Pilates, do what you want to do, that will make a big difference in your life if you're struggling. But
mm,
after you hit that point, they've done studies and like the more money you make, you don't exponentially get happier.
yeah,
After you have more than enough that you need, then you're cooking. And then from there, you're just making more money for fun. It's not
yeah.
like you need to make $100 billion. Like nobody needs that much money for anything.
Yeah. And you listen to people who have like extreme wealth and they say like once they had all that, like it didn't make them happy.
Yeah.
Like that's like you have to do like the self-love work, which has been a theme of this conversation, really coming in and doing that work. And I think that's powerful to have that in place so that when you do receive the thing,
Yeah.
it's not like you're still chasing something.
And I think people who are that wealthy, they didn't become that wealthy because they were so greedy and chasing money. It was a byproduct of whatever their mission was.
Mm.
Like Elon's trying to live on Mars. You
Yeah.
know, he's not like one of the richest people ever because he's like, oh, I love money. I need all this money. It's like a byproduct of all the work that he's doing in the
Mm.
world. So I think also not hating rich people, hot
Yeah.
take, is very helpful if you want to manifest money and just studying their stories because most of the wealthy people, aside from like Saudi princes and stuff, I mean, anyone wealthy in the US, most of them are self made because most generational wealth dwindles by like the third generation in the
Mm.
family. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
so
so I think
true.
not villainizing rich people. I mean,
Mm.
if they're a bad person, they're a bad person with or without money. Like, it's not because the
Yeah.
money made them bad.
Yeah.
I believe that money just makes you more able to express who you really are.
Hmm.
So it might highlight if you're a shitty person once you have more, but
Yeah.
the money doesn't change you. It just allows you to be more yourself. So I think
Yeah.
just introducing some of these new money narratives that it's more normal, it's okay to have, it's safe to make, it's fun to
Hmm.
make, I'm allowed to amplify it. All of those types of beliefs are really helpful to open your energy to money instead of what most people do is like just think all these bad thoughts about it and then they're closed and they don't even realize how closed they are to it.
Mm. Yeah, that's such a good distinction. And it is just energy. It's amplifying what you already have, essentially. I feel like we've talked about a lot in this
We covered
conversation.
everything. You
We did.
are efficient, girl.
Is there anything that you like feel like maybe we didn't talk about or you want to leave the listeners with, just to like wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I want to leave the listeners with is to just dream big, focus on your goals, allow yourself to want them, and know that if you want them, it's probably for a good reason and you should go for it. And if you're having trouble going for it, read my book, The Manifesting Fix, and it'll help you to fix that. So that's really my whole spiel. I just
Yeah.
want people to love themselves, be super resourced, manifest their best lives. And that's my version of like heaven on earth, which is why I'm just like, I'm trying to live my best life, live by example. I think that helps give others permission and inspiration. So, yeah, hopefully this conversation left a little magic in your earbuds. And if it did, then let us know.
Yeah. Beautiful. How can people find you? How can they work with you? And yeah, how can they find the book when it comes out?
Yeah, just go to kelseyAida.com. Everything will be there. It's SEY for Kelsey. None of that weird spelling. No offense to the other Kelseys. And Aida, it's my middle name, AIDA, like the opera. So that's where you can find my podcast, High Vibe in It. That's where you can find the book, The Manifesting Fix. You can also buy the book like from your local retailers. Once it's out, you can pre-order it on the website. So search Manifesting Fix. What else? Other resources do I have for you guys? I have a really great money manifesting mini course that's good for working through some limiting beliefs and like reprogramming those. So I'll send you the link for that if you want to put that in the show notes for people. And then the Radical Self Love course is like all my favorite self love practices, just succinctly organized for you to just go through and incorporate them into your self love rituals. And yeah, I just have a lot of resources for you guys. So really go to the website. There's a lot there. And I hope that it helps you to live your best life.
Amazing. And yeah, I'll have everything linked in the show notes so you guys can just go down and click. Thank you so much, Kelsey.
Thank you.